Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and with E3 2019 well behind us now, it's safe to say we've got quite a lot of games to look forward to later on this year, but we also have a ton of great games coming next year. Pair that with the fact that the new generation of consoles may also release next year, and 2020 is shaping up to be an incredible year for gaming. So with that being said, in today's video, I want to talk about some of the best games coming in 2020. So if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think of these, let me know which ones are your favourites, let me know if there's any games that I didn't mention, and of course be sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, because we've still got plenty more exciting stuff coming your way. But let's start off the top. Of course, I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. We actually got a release date, April the 16th, 2020. Oh, that is incredibly exciting. It's a game that, I'll be honest, I was one of the people that actually said, I don't think we're going to get that this generation, and I'm happy to say that I was wrong. I was mistaken. It is indeed coming this generation. It may well be one of those games that when the next gen consoles come out, we also see it next gen too, but we are getting it in the not too distant future. Now, I'm pretty sure by now all of you guys know about it, but if for some reason you have no idea what Cyberpunk is, then it's of course the open world action-adventure story set in Night City. Bear in mind it's developed by CD Projekt Red, the guys behind masterpieces like The Witcher, and in Night City, in this huge city, it's obsessed with power and glamour and body modification. You play as a character known as V, a mercenary, and you have this one-of-a-kind implant that is basically the key to immortality. You can customize your character, you can customize your skill set, you have a ton of different moves. In fact, when I was over at E3 this year, we got to see a second presentation. This one was actually really cool because it was a little bit more grounded. The presentation they showed last year was quite flashy. They showed a lot of the different things you could do as a means to get people excited. Meanwhile, this demonstration was a lot more kind of true to what you would actually be doing in game. It showed us sort of an end-to-end mission flow, so it gave us a better idea as to how the game may play. So that was definitely incredibly exciting. We got to look at some new modifications, we got to look at some new skills, we got to look at some customization, lots of stuff to be excited about. But this game is just incredibly impressive. The city is so alive. Everything when you're walking around, everyone's got things to say. It's just a very, very impressive looking game, and it's something that I for sure cannot wait to see. In fact, it's kind of got to the point now where I think I've seen enough. I kind of don't want to see much more because I just want to wait till the game comes out and just experience it, because I know this is going to be an incredible game. However, while we're still kind of in keeping with the theme of, you know, futuristic, techie, cyber kind of stuff, let's talk about Watch Dogs Legion, because Watch Dogs Legion is actually a game that I'm incredibly excited for as well. Had a chance to test this out at E3, and I really enjoyed Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 2 was a lot of fun. They made a lot of great changes from the original, and Watch Dogs 3 now has this crazy, interesting twist. Not only is it set in London, which for me is really cool because being from the UK, I actually genuinely recognise a lot of the places I was going around in game, so that part is cool. But the fact that you can then also play as basically anyone in game, because it has this whole notion now where you can effectively influence people's lives, work into this sort of social network and start convincing them to join your team, and when they do so, they become a playable character. So we now have all the wacky, crazy, high-tech stuff you would expect from Watch Dogs, but with the ability to play as basically anyone. It also has co-op, so there's lots of stuff to look forward to, and this game is scheduled for March 6th.
Welcome to the Resistance.
Then moving on from there, we have the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming on March 3rd. Now, technically speaking, this is the first part. Of course, there will be many parts of it, but I'm actually very excited for this one, and I'm sure a lot of you are. I'm sure to many of you, Final Fantasy VII may be one of your favourite games of all time. However, for me, I had a chance to play it at E3, and I was really impressed, but I'm actually coming from the perspective of someone that hasn't played the original. I grew up as a Nintendo kid, I grew up with games like Zelda and whatnot, and Final Fantasy I actually got into quite late, so I never really got to experience Final Fantasy VII when it first released, and as a result of that, I'm actually quite excited to dive into this experience and go through the story purely from the remake. Now, yes, I know a lot of people are going to say, no, you should definitely go back and play the original. I know, maybe I should, but I'm kind of excited to just be able to slowly work my way through the story in this remade fashion. The new combat system is incredible. I'm loving the way they work the ATB system into this sort of real-time battle. So for someone like me that likes real-time combat slightly more, it's why I love the Tales of series, then you kind of have that freedom to move around, you have that freedom to control your character, but you do still of course have the slightly more traditional battle system as well that you can then work in when you have the appropriate meter. It's very cool. The way that it plays out is incredibly interesting, and the game just looks stunning. So this is for sure a game to look forward to next year. Next up on the list, we have Dying Light 2. Now, this one was kind of like a sleeper hit for me because I played the original Dying Light. I had a lot of fun with it. I'll be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of zombies. It's not really my jam, but I do love parkour. So with that being said, that's kind of what drew me into the original Dying Light. I had a lot of fun with it, played through it with some friends. It was really cool. However, Dying Light 2, I had a chance to see a presentation at E3. I didn't get to play it myself, but what I saw was very, very impressive. Visually, the game looks incredible. My memories of Dying Light 1 were a little bit more sparse and barren and kind of open lands. I know there were buildings and cities and whatnot, but it felt to me a lot more open. Meanwhile, the very first scene that I saw in the gameplay presentation, they walked out into this very dense city with these tight alleyways, and just visually, from a graphical standpoint, it looked very, very impressive. But there's also some really cool new mechanics in there. They've got like a grappling hook, they've got a paraglider, so you can use that for interesting ways to get around the world. Plus, there's these really cool systems where you have choices to make in game, and depending on the choices you make, of course, they'll affect the story, but sometimes they'll even go as far as to reveal new areas that you otherwise wouldn't get to. So the demonstration they gave us, we actually went through to the point where we activated this pump. In doing so, we drained the water, and in doing that, it then revealed an entirely new area of the city that was previously submerged that you otherwise couldn't have got access to. And if you hadn't have gone down that story path, you would never gain access to that area. So the fact that these consequences, the fact that these kind of options you have to choose in game can have much larger effects than just this guy doesn't like you at the end of the game, that I find incredibly interesting.
Virus tore society apart, but I won't let it turn me into an enemy.
Moving on from there, we have Minecraft Dungeons. Now this one is, believe it or not, I'm kind of excited for this. I love my dungeon crawlers, right? And this one came out of nowhere. Saw it during the Xbox presentation, and it actually looks kind of fun. I played a fair amount of Minecraft back when I was at work, and while it's been quite a few years since I've played it, the whole concept behind Minecraft Dungeons being this isometric themed dungeon crawler, where you can play these characters and you've got multiplayer, it's just the kind of game that I like. So this is releasing spring 2020, and the gameplay kind of speaks for itself. Of course, moving on from there, we have Halo Infinite. This is going to be an incredibly exciting one. This is slated to release holiday 2020, and this is lining up to be a launch title for the next Xbox. Now, we potentially got to look at what could have been a few little graphical elements during the trailer. Of course, you know, it's hard to discern sometimes whether this is CG and whatnot, but this could well have been a quick sample of what we might expect from the next generation. But Halo Infinite, of course, going to be taking the series in a slightly new direction. If you guys have missed any kind of news so far about the game, then I'll link the other video down below. We did a video on what we know so far about Infinite, but this being available on the next-gen console could be amazing. And from what they've said of the game, they said that it of course continues the Halo 5 Guardian storyline, but apparently it takes the franchise in ambitious and unexpected directions. So, I for one, cannot wait to see what those are.
We lost everything. There's nothing left for us here. I don't think we're here is.
Now, of course, moving on from there, we have The Last of Us Part 2 releasing Q1 2020. No official release date, just rumours and leaks at this stage, but it's fair to say it's going to be dropping at some point next year, and this is a game that a lot of people have been waiting for. Last of Us was an incredible story experience, a game that to this day is at the top of many people's favourite games lists. Naughty Dog are incredible storytellers, and I for one cannot wait to see how the story continues from Ellie's perspective this time around. Then next up we have Animal Crossing. Now this is a game that I've been looking forward to, but I've said this before, I have like a love-hate relationship with Animal Crossing. I simultaneously love the game and I hate it. I hate it because you invariably get in crazy debt. You also, when you take a step back, realise that you're basically playing the game and just going around cleaning up the village, working with like annoying neighbours and just basically doing the stuff you don't really want to do in real life, but apparently it's fun in a video game. However, that aside, it is also incredibly fun having the game to be able to check in on a daily basis, doing your chores, going through, creating these villages, making friends with these people, upgrading your house. There's a lot of cool stuff to do, and those sort of like perpetual life sims, it's a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to, myself included, and have it on the Switch, have it on the go. Yo, I'm ready. And that comes out on March the 20th next year. Next up after that, we have a game that I am so hyped for. I'm a huge Tales of fan. I mentioned this in one of my recent videos about games that I thought we probably wouldn't see announcements for. And you know what, it's kind of crazy because while we didn't see the announcement for Tales of Symphonia HD for Switch, which I kind of wanted to see, we did instead get a completely new Tales of game, Tales of Arise, releasing in 2020, no solid date or season, but it's coming next year, and this looks fantastic. Now, if you've played the Tales of games before, you'll know they typically have that sort of cel-shaded anime aesthetic to them. This one here still has the kind of, anime look to it, but it's got a very different, more kind of modern, up-to-date visual style, and I'm digging it. Like, it looks really, really cool. We've never had a Tales game look like this before, and this, I think it's one of those things where if you've never played Tales of before, because maybe, I don't know, maybe you didn't like the anime look to it, or maybe you just didn't know what it was, or you didn't know where to start because there's so many of them, this is looking like it could be a great place to jump in. Now, Tales of Arise, from what we, briefly know about the story, it follows two people from opposing worlds of Dana and Reyna, and the gameplay is said to be a departure from the traditional Tales of experience while still retaining the vision and the trademark kind of linear motion battle system. So some of the stuff we saw from the gameplay looked like it could be more open. Maybe you don't get tied into those battles when you encounter an enemy. Maybe you are free to kind of attack in like a more open world. Not entirely sure how that will pan out, but either way, it looks incredible, and I definitely want it. Then next up we have No More Heroes 3, releasing 2020 on Switch. Now, I love No More Heroes. I remember playing it back on the GameCube. I know there was technically speaking, a No More Heroes kind of game released recently, Travis Strikes Back, but yeah, I didn't really like it. I didn't like the top-down nature. It doesn't mean to say I don't like top-down games, but for the purposes of what I want from No More Heroes, that wasn't it. This is it. No More Heroes is just a ridiculous, over-the-top, crazy game. It's a Grasshopper game, Suda51. If you know him, then you know he's recognized for doing crazy games, and No More Heroes. Number 1 was incredible. I'll admit number 2, my memory was a little bit more hazy, but number 3, the fact that there's a mech suit in this, this is going to be just as insane as ever.
But don't you worry, a hero descends.
And then finally on this list, we got a couple of honorable mentions, but finally we have Marvel's Avengers, releasing May 15th, 2020. Now, this one, I'll admit, if you saw it during the Square Enix presentation, a lot of people left being a little bit confused, like, what exactly is this game? Especially if you followed some of the leaks and rumours beforehand. They suggested the game may have been this sort of, open world, MMO-light kind of game with Marvel. However, having seen the trailer, it appears to be much more narratively driven. Now, I had a chance to go and see a behind closed doors presentation and actually see some gameplay in action. And when you see the whole thing, yes, I admit some of the character models might not necessarily resonate quite so well with those of you that are kind of familiar with the, the current Marvel heroes. However, gameplay-wise, it was quite interesting to see it all in motion. There were some really cool abilities, and actually seeing the third-person camera running behind all the characters, seeing how they interact with the world around them, seeing how they kind of fight enemies, that stuff was really cool. I will say that the demonstration was very linear. In fact, what I got from it was that it was probably the introduction thing. I would imagine it's probably what you play at the very beginning of the game to introduce you to the characters. I am hoping that it opens up a little bit more once you get beyond that point, but the story behind it, of course, begins at A-Day, which is where the Avengers were basically unveiling kind of a high-tech headquarters, and then in typical superhero fashion, the celebration turns deadly, there's a massive accident, and that effectively results in the devastation of the city, and supposedly kills off some of the heroes. And then fast forward into the future, and we then have to reclaim our honor, kind of go back and fight back, all that kind of stuff. Now, to be fair, with me, if there's Marvel heroes in there, I'm kind of sold anyway. I'm going to play it regardless. I love the Marvel Universe, and I'm going to be there day one. I do still have some questions. There is still a lot more that I want to know about it, and I think once they show us some more open world gameplay or kind of more extensive gameplay, I think that will be the thing that kind of really convinces people, because I think at this point people don't necessarily know exactly what to expect from it, but once they do paint a better picture, I feel like it could be a pretty exciting title. Now, for the most part, that's pretty much it. That's what we have to look forward to in 2020. There will be plenty more games, and there are, technically speaking, 2 that I want to sneak in here. We of course have Elden Ring, the next game by From Software. Supposedly, if the rumours are to be believed, it is a From Software title based around Norse mythology. Now, Norse mythology is a topic that I really enjoy, and having a From Software twist on that would be incredible. So I'm hoping we see that next year, because if you think back to last year when they announced Sekiro and then we got it this year, I feel like the whole industry as a whole is changing to the point where people tend to announce games a lot of the time now in much smaller windows. They don't necessarily want to announce them and have people waiting like 2 or 3 years, so I feel like it might not be that crazy to expect that we could well see Elden Ring at some point next year. And the same also goes for the Breath of the Wild sequel. Now, you guys know me, you know I'm a massive Zelda fan, and I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on Breath of the Wild, my theories, my thoughts, my wish list later on this week, so stay tuned for that. But similar kind of thing. I know right now we've seen basically no gameplay and we've just seen a tease, and normally when you see these teases, you have kind of a long way to wait. But when you factor in that Breath of the Wild finished quite a while ago, and that team has obviously been hard at work on this ever since, and the fact they've now teased it, now Nintendo themselves have in recent years, a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, the games they announce are invariably available at some point in the next kind of 6 to 12, maybe 15 months. So it might not be so crazy to think that we might just see Breath of the Wild sequel maybe the end of next year, and if not, like super beginning of 2021. Either way, fingers crossed, I really want it, but for the time being, that's a long video, but there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2020. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.